The firefighter on duty that freezing December night in 2005 found the infant girl wrapped in a yellow blanket inside a cardboard box by the side entrance. She was maybe 3 hours old, still had the hospital bracelet on her tiny wrist. The name section was blank. No note, no explanation. Just a baby who'd been left behind like something unwanted. The firefighter, Captain Morris, picked her up, and she opened her eyes and looked right at him, and he knew in that moment his life had just changed forever. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too. 18 years later, on a Tuesday morning in March, a young woman named Grace walked into Station 47 carrying a folder of documents and wearing an expression that made the duty officer immediately stand up. "Can I help you?" Officer Jenkins asked. Grace's hands were shaking. She set the folder down on the counter. "I'm looking for Captain Daniel Morris. Is he here?" "He's in his office." "Can I ask what this is about?" Grace opened her mouth to answer, but nothing came out. She'd practiced this moment 1,000 times. In her car, in the shower, in front of her mirror at 2 in the morning when she couldn't sleep. But now that she was here, the words wouldn't come. "I think I was left here," she finally said. "As a baby, 18 years ago." Jenkins's expression changed. He picked up the phone. "Let me get the captain." Captain Morris came out of his office 30 seconds later. He was older now, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes. But Grace recognized him from the photo she'd found in her adoption files. He stopped walking when he saw her. "My name is Grace Sullivan," she said. "I was born December 15th, 2005. I was found at this station. You found me." Morris stood perfectly still. Then he nodded slowly. "Yellow blanket, cardboard box, 3 hours old. That was me. You want to come to my office?" Grace followed him down a narrow hallway. The station smelled like coffee and cleaning supplies and something else she couldn't identify. Smoke, maybe, or the residue of 1,000 emergencies. Morris's office was small and cluttered. Photos on the walls, commendations, a coffee mug that said "World's Okayest Dad." He gestured to a chair, and she sat down. I've thought about you a lot over the years," Morris said. "Wondered how you were doing, where you ended up. I had good parents, the Sullivans. They adopted me when I was 6 months old. They told me the truth when I was 12, that I was a safe haven baby." Morris nodded. Safe haven laws. Parents could leave newborns at designated locations without facing criminal charges. Fire stations, hospitals, police departments. It was meant to prevent babies from being abandoned in dumpsters or left in dangerous places. "Why are you here now?" Morris asked gently. Grace opened her folder. Inside were documents, birth certificates, adoption papers, and something else. A DNA test result from one of those ancestry websites. "I did one of those tests 6 months ago," Grace said. "Just curious, you know, about my heritage, where I came from. I got the results back and there was a match. A close relative, a woman." Morris leaned forward. "Her name is Christina Parker. She's 36 years old. Lives about 40 miles from here. The DNA said she was my biological mother." "Did you contact her?" "Not yet. I wanted to come here first. I wanted to see the place where she left me. I wanted to understand." "Understand what?" "Why she did it. What kind of person leaves their baby at a fire station?" Morris was quiet for a moment. "Someone desperate. Someone scared. Someone who wanted their child to be safe even if they couldn't keep her." Grace's eyes filled with tears. She didn't even leave a note. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe it hurt too much. Grace wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I found her on social media. Facebook. She has a family now. A husband. 2 kids. A nice house. A normal life. She moved on like I never existed. You don't know that. Don't I? She's been 40 miles away my whole life and never once tried to find me. Morris sighed. Grace, I'm not trying to defend what she did, but I've been a firefighter for 30 years. I've seen things. Desperate situations, impossible choices. People at their absolute lowest. Your biological mother gave birth to you and then brought you somewhere safe. That tells me something. What does it tell you? That even in her darkest moment, she cared about what happened to you. Grace looked down at her hands. I want to meet her. I need to know why. Are you ready for what she might say? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Morris pulled a business card from his desk drawer and wrote something on the back. This is my personal cell number. And if you need anything, after you talk to her, if it doesn't go well, call me. Grace took the card. Her fingers brushed his, and she felt something shift in her chest. This man had held her when she was hours old. He'd made sure she was safe. In some strange way, he was part of her story, too. Thank you, she whispered. She left the station and sat in her car for 20 minutes before she could drive. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She pulled out her phone and looked at Christina Parker's Facebook profile for the 100th time. Pretty woman, blonde hair, warm smile, photos of her kids at soccer games and birthday parties, photos of family vacations, a life that looked perfect from the outside. Grace typed out a message, deleted it, typed it again. Hi, Christina. My name is Grace Sullivan. I think you're my biological mother. I'd like to meet you if you're willing. Please let me know. She hit send before she could change her mind. The response came 6 hours later. Oh my God. Yes. Please. When? They agreed to meet at a coffee shop on neutral ground. 2 days later, Grace brought her adoptive mother, Laura Sullivan, for moral support. Laura sat at a table across the room, close enough to help if things went wrong, far enough to give them privacy. Christina arrived exactly on time. She looked different in person. Smaller, more nervous. Her hands were shaking just like Grace's. They sat down across from each other, and for a long moment, neither of them spoke. You look like me, Christina finally said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. You have my eyes. I know. I didn't think you'd ever want to meet me. I almost didn't. Christina's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Grace felt her throat tighten. Tell me why. I need to know why you left me. Christina took a shaky breath. I was 18, a senior in high school. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was almost 7 months along. I hid it from everyone, wore baggy clothes, made excuses. My parents were strict, religious. I was terrified. So, you just gave birth and threw me away? Christina flinched. It wasn't like that. I gave birth alone in my bedroom. I didn't know what to do. I was bleeding. I was scared. I thought I might die. But when I held you, when I looked at you, I knew I couldn't take care of you the way you deserved. So you put me in a box. I put you somewhere safe. I researched safe haven laws. I made sure you'd be found right away. I wrapped you in my favorite blanket, the one my grandmother made for me. I kissed your forehead and I promised you that you'd have a better life than I could give you. Tears were streaming down Christina's face now. I went home and I bled for 3 days. I thought I was going to die. When I finally got better, I cried for weeks, months. I failed my finals. I barely graduated. Everyone thought I was depressed. They had no idea. Grace's own tears were falling now. Did you ever think about me? Every single day, every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone. I wondered where you were, if you were happy, if you hated me. I don't hate you. Christina looked up. You don't? I don't know what I feel. I'm angry. I'm hurt. But I'm also sitting here looking at you, and I understand that you were just a kid. You were terrified and alone, and you did what you thought was right. I should have tried harder. I should have found a way. Maybe. Or maybe I ended up exactly where I was supposed to be. My parents are amazing. They gave me everything: love, support, opportunities. I had a good life. Christina smiled through her tears. I'm so glad. That's all I ever wanted for you. They talked for 2 hours. Christina told Grace about her life, how she'd gone to college, met her husband, had 2 more children, built a career as a nurse, how she'd carried the secret of Grace for 18 years and never told anyone. Does your husband know? Grace asked. No, nobody knows. You're my deepest secret. Are you going to tell them? Christina was quiet. I don't know. I want to. But I'm scared. Grace understood, scared. She'd been scared her whole life of this moment. When they finally stood to leave, Christina hesitated. Can I hug you? Grace nodded. Christina wrapped her arms around her and held on tight, and Grace felt something break open inside her chest. This was her biological mother, the woman who'd given her life and then given her away, the woman who'd carried the weight of that choice for 18 years. Thank you for finding me, Christina whispered. Thank you for giving me the chance to explain. They exchanged numbers, promised to stay in touch. Grace didn't know what their relationship would look like going forward, but she knew it was a start. Laura drove Grace home. They didn't talk much. There wasn't much to say. When they pulled into the driveway, Laura turned off the car and looked at her daughter. How are you feeling? Grace thought about it. I don't know. Relieved, maybe? Like I finally have answers. Do you think you'll see her again? Yeah, I think I will. Not to replace you. You're my mom. You'll always be my mom. But I think I need to know her too. Laura reached over and squeezed Grace's hand. I understand, and I love you, no matter what. That night, Grace sent a text to Captain Morris. I met her. It went okay. Thank you for everything. His response came a few minutes later. Proud of you, kid. You're braver than you know. Grace smiled. Then she pulled out Christina's number and sent another message. Same time next week? The response was immediate. Yes, I'd love that. 6 months later, and Grace stood in Christina's living room meeting her half-siblings for the first time. Christina had finally told her husband and kids the truth. It had been hard. There had been tears and difficult conversations, but they'd worked through it together. Grace looked around the room at these people who were her family, but also strangers. Christina's husband, Mark, who'd welcomed her with genuine warmth. Her half-sister, Emma, who was 10 and kept staring at Grace like she was a celebrity. Her half-brother, Lucas, who was 8 and wanted to know if Grace liked video games. This wasn't the family she'd grown up with, but it was family nonetheless. Christina caught her eye from across the room and smiled. Grace smiled back. She thought about that night 18 years ago. The cardboard box, the yellow blanket, and the terrified teenage girl who'd made an impossible choice. She thought about Captain Morris, who'd found her and made sure she was safe. She thought about Laura and Tom Sullivan, who'd adopted her and loved her as their own. And she thought about how all of these people, all of these moments, had come together to make her who she was. She wasn't a mistake. She wasn't unwanted. She was the result of a desperate act of love by a girl who'd had no other options. She was the daughter of two mothers, both of whom had given her everything they could. She was Grace, and she was finally whole. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember that every person's story is complicated, and sometimes the hardest choices are made with the most love. We all deserve grace, second chances, and the opportunity to heal. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.